I'm Jordan, Dissolve practitioner. This is Andy, founder of Dissolve Therapy. And we're just having to chat about life, Dissolve Therapy, meditation, our inspirations for kind of getting into this stuff, and all sorts of things related to the practice. I think that about sums it up.
All right,
Yeah,
Jordan.
cool.
Thanks,
All right.
thanks for doing this, man. This is cool.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Of course.
I love talking to you, so it's good. It's good on all
Yeah.
levels.
We gotta sneak in at least one of these to begin with in a very pregnant moment of life, literally for
Dude.
you. Me
Oh,
with all sorts of busyness, but you literally a pregnant moment.
oh yeah, oh yeah. But I mean, you've been here before many
Exactly.
times,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Exactly.
I'm going to talk to you later and get some words of advice, man. But
Yeah. For sure.
but yeah, Kat, my wife is about to have a baby, so it's
Mhm.
yeah, it's any time now. Anytime she's
Yeah.
at her 40th week, and we're just hanging out, waiting for things to happen.
Nice. Yeah. It's a very interesting time, eh? But it's a good time to be a dissolve practitioner, man. I remember laying in bed waiting for that moment, that same like, oh, like she's going into labor, and I put on one of your videos at one point because
That's
just
amazing.
like, yeah, we just wanted to melt and wanted to just be enter the space smoothly, and that's
Yeah.
what Leia recommends. She's like, you know what? I heard you listen to this one video at some point. Put that on, whatever that was, and so we both just very smoothly entered that space
No
together,
way.
listening to your videos at one point, and yeah, and
That's
it was a good
amazing, man.
time.
That's
Fun, man.
well,
Powerful moment.
dude. Well, I mean, you are the reason that Kat and I are together. So that's very
It's
cool too.
funny how things happen, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's that's happened a few times. Yeah, just people that you know,
Yeah.
uh, introducing someone, and
Yeah.
then yeah, not trying to be a matchmaker, but that's how
No,
it
no,
happens.
but I mean, she's been keeping up with you guys for about a decade, and
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
It's so cool. It's so amazing.
it is so
Full,
cool.
full, full
Yeah.
circle.
Oh man, it's a funny world, isn't it? It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
beautiful world, man.
Oh, it's good stuff.
If you let it be,
Yeah,
if you look at in the right angle, in the right way.
exactly. And that's some of what we'll get into here.
Yeah,
Right
brother.
view, right release, and the power of simplicity.
Yes, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. All right. So one of the things we got a little bit into in sort of our in terms of our life path and stuff, but
Yeah.
maybe I think something important for the viewers is the inspiration for Dissolve, and this could be part of your path, and maybe this guy Jamnian. But all of my topics sort of seem to probably smoothly link together because we have this idea of the inspiration for Dissolve, kind of what it is, what we're doing, this idea of release, and maybe a little bit of chat on building and cultivation versus release and that balance, cultivating the right conditions for
Yes.
release, that idea of being ripe for entering the spiritual path and uh, getting the correct conditions for meditation and all that. And then this idea of metta, the power of metta, and this
Yes.
guy Jamnian, who is part of the inspiration for Dissolve, and the
Yes.
potency of that beyond the idea. People kind of get this idea of, oh, loving kindness. That's nice. Be nice,
Be
be
nice.
happy. Don't worry, be happy, sort of thing. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that there is a real power to this.
Yeah.
There's a simplicity in the essence of it, and the idea of it. It's easy to think about, easy to say these words, but there's a deep potency when you have, like you said last time, the sincerity in the practice, and really beginning to absorb into this stuff. So yeah, the
Yeah, brother.
inspiration for release was really your experience of this, I guess. So how did that unfold for you?
Well, I mean, I suppose like all of us, it's hard to define one point, isn't it? It's all an unfolding, and that's one of the special things is when you try to analyze your life leading to where you are now. It's just, of course, it's just everything just unfolds
Change.
as it should, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think, remember I was telling you about that Monkey Magic, that show that I used to watch when I was a kid? I think that could have been like a deep inspiration when I was like 7 or 8, 9 years old. This Japanese TV series, which just took a spin on the journey to the West, like that old Buddhist story. And it was just full of Buddhist stuff and lots of fighting, which I loved. And so, we used to fight as we watched the show. But I think a lot of the messages, maybe they went through. I don't know. But yeah.
It brought back the memory to me of when I was a kid seeing that show, Kung Fu. Is it Kung Fu? The Legend Continues with David
Yeah.
Carradine.
Yeah.
And just seeing all the guys in the robes and whatnot, even
Yeah.
though it's pretty cheesy, probably by today's standards, especially. I don't know, something about seeing things like that, or any of those old martial arts movies or anything. I also mentioned like seeing Merlin or something like that, like the old wise man figure, but it's these figures of wisdom, that pop up in our childhood or something, that it's like something in us starts to get pointed in a certain direction.
Yeah, or I think for a lot of us, we are looking more or less in that direction to begin with.
Yeah, yeah,
Not exactly, but
some of us
more or
have to
less. Something's over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
We get distracted along the way, of course, but then you meet people like Jamnian, or you meet people like yourself, or just these figures along the way that help to clear up your vision a little bit, or a lot.
Yeah, wipe the slate clean.
Yeah,
Probably
man.
something that Jamnian offers people is sort of like an etch-a-sketch, like shaking the etch-a-sketch clear when you're around
Dude,
someone like that.
I tell you what it's like. It's like looking at a mirror,
Right.
a really, really, really up close mirror. And of course, sometimes you're not ready to see that.
Right.
And and I remember the first, because I've met him a bunch of times. I stayed around him a bit. I mean, I met him probably, let me see, maybe 6 or 7 times. And every time I met him, this was the case. It was like looking at a mirror. And of course I was seeing my own bullshit. Right? Straight up. It's like a reflection. And then it made me do the work instantly. Because he was showing me, okay, well, check this out. This is what it is to release. And then because I was interacting with him, my bullshit wasn't bouncing off anything. There was just this clear slate. And so it highlights your own not failings, but it highlights what you have to work on in that instance.
What comes to mind is like you and I make the analogy of him being like a light bulb, like this light that doesn't go off.
Yeah.
It's like someone like that is so radiant in their peace and in that light that it's like that light is showing you all the shadows, any obstruction.
Absolutely.
Release.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And so in that moment, he gives you a really beautiful opportunity because he's showing it to you. There's that light there. And so it gives you a really nice opportunity just to follow, not follow him, that sounds a bit funny, but just take that step. Just release, check it out. This is what it is. Boom.
Step onto the path, step into the stream a little.
Yeah, exactly.
Water.
Exactly, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. So, yeah, part of the reason we bring this guy up is because people who are into Buddhism or meditation and stuff, they dabble or explore in these ideas of metta and wisdom and all of these terms that when you start looking through all the teachings or reading the sutras, it's like a dictionary of terms and ideas and concepts that through the practice you gain an experience with.
Yep.
And metta is one of those foundational, um, whatever you want to call it, qualities, I guess, that you aim to cultivate
Yep.
to create the right conditions in your being for release.
Yes.
And Jamnian's one of these cool guys that, like we said, there's certain people who come into this world with a proclivity. They've, however many lifetimes or whatever it is, the right conditions are already pretty much set up. And so they come in like that little light, like they're a living sun.
Yeah.
And so this guy was being, I think you mentioned, like I heard him like something about the crocodiles in the water or whatever, and he had to kind of metta away the crocodiles. And then you mentioned them throwing the fish guts in the water. And
well, kind of. So with the fish guts, that was with the sharks.
That's
right?
The sharks. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so he lived on the coast in Thailand, and a fishing village. And so they would go out and fish, and they'd throw the guts in the water to attract certain types of fish and sharks, I suppose. I suppose they used to catch the sharks. I'm not sure, but anyway. So one of his practices was jumping in the water with the sharks. Now, whether or not he jumped in the water or he was thrown in the water by his, I think his dad was basically like the village witch doctor or uncle.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which, but certainly someone very close to him was quite well attained in their practice, and so they taught him this metta sutra. And so, of course, you can just say the words and not much will happen. But if you actually feel the words and allow those words to disappear, and then you become the essence of those words, then this is where the power of a metta sutra comes in, right? Mm-hmm. And so, swimming with the sharks, and then the crocodiles. He used to catch crocodiles as a job.
Right. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. as you do when you're 10 years old.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like he's doing these things at like 8 to 10 years old. He's not some old man at that point who's been, doing this whole life. He's starting out that way and sort of just having probably a bit of a shove, his father or those people around him being like, okay, this is what you do. This is how you test it out. So he was beginning to test the power and the potency of these things that it might be just ideas or sort of like, oh, like nice love, that's cool. There is a power and a potency to embodying that, and there's a certain quality that begins to radiate and become tangible and palpable. At first in one's own inner experience, but there is a reality to it. There's a real transformation and a change that happens and effects that take place on other people, other beings, which is what people feel when around someone like me.
Yeah, I mean, it affects your whole world.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the point, right?
Yeah, and I saw you put up a post today about like the idea of being the savior or the hero, and people something I've really dwelt on a lot, like people trying to change the world, like, oh, the world's so messed up, like I have to try to change it. And it becomes a cliche that, in order to change the world, you have to be the change if you want to see that whole thing. But it's true.
Oh, dude, I got, this is the thing with this stuff. It's presented to you. And then, of course, you have to do the work. You have to practice. Yeah. But it's like any type of work. If you stop doing it, you stop getting paid, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to be like once you once you understand what's going on, you understand the process of release and all that, you have to keep on doing it, right? And so the reason I'm making these posts is because personally, I got a little trapped. A few years ago, I was encouraged to look at social issues and comment publicly on those. And so I did that for a while, and to be honest, it was quite liberating to a degree, just to express what you really thought. But
Yeah.
if I analyzed, did I really think it? No, not really. The thing is, with thoughts and ideas like that, a lot of these political or social views were just things that I might have resonated with. They might have been past memories that my parents had or some people around me 20 years ago had. But if I analyzed those thoughts, like I didn't have those thoughts on a daily basis
Yeah.
for the last 20 years, right?
Right.
And it was only when I started to actively take a stance on them and express myself, and then have people on social media bouncing back to me and reaffirming my views and all this stuff, it just reifies it and makes it so much bigger than like a random thought you might have about the world. And so then suddenly you start becoming that.
Yeah.
And it's so problematic, man. It doesn't solve anything. It just...
Yeah. Definitely.
And so what it does is it certainly turned me away from release. While I was focusing on those topics, I certainly wasn't releasing. And I could have told myself at the time that I was, and I might have been to a degree, but only to a degree. And so there's like a truthfulness, a sincerity that comes in, and it's like, you reach that point, it's like, oh, hang on a minute. I've been getting a little bit caught up here. Okay.
Yeah. Created a glass ceiling or tainted the lens in some way.
Dude, exactly. And so then of course, as soon as you drop that, your whole world changes, and you stop seeing it. You stop seeing it because you're not focused on that.
Yeah.
And you're focusing on the beauty of release all the time, and so that's what you're experiencing in your life. And that's what that post was about. It was just about get stuck on that, because everyone, like the whole planet, is trapped in this dichotomy, right? Like the right and the wrong, and the left and the right, and all that. Everyone, or they just sort of bury their head in the sand. And so you take a side, or you can stand up in a different way and not push it away, but release through it and around it. And then you become this, more like Jamnian, or like that light behind you, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. It reminds me, there's a whole, I almost need to take a note on this because it's escaping my mind suddenly because we're joking about the light there. But for one, there's this whole idea of people like to talk about quantum physics and the whole observer effect and all of that thing, which I think there's probably some misconstrued aspects of that stuff that people talk about. But there is also a reality to it, a very potent reality to it. And the fact that, the other thing comes back now, but the fact that the way we observe things creates an effect. And that becomes very tangible and real in a direct sense with dissolve therapy, because we're working a lot with that direct connection of the awareness, how the lens of the mind, or how the quality of the mind is transformed and impacted by the quality of our awareness, and how that impacts that bridge of the mind, the chi, the body, that whole spectrum of experience. It can be directly altered
Yeah.
where there's some people who are trying to just work with the body or just work with their energy or just try to work with their mind.
Yep.
Uh, and I think I mentioned it last night. It becomes like a game of whack-a-mole. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I do this with my chi, and then but my body's doing this, and I do this with my body, and my mind's doing this, and I'm gonna change this in my mind. The only thing that I've found that directly impacts all of that is this type of work
Yeah.
is perceiving release
Yep.
and allowing it to have an impact on everything at once. It changes that whole spectrum. If you shift the way that you are perceiving
Yep.
your being, that whole spectrum of your being, then it
Yep.
all shifts, it all changes, it all tends to line up. And you've been saying lately, like, nature takes its course
Dude.
there. And I've had this idea for a long time and have experienced that when you surrender, when you release,
Yep.
then things tend to harmonize and self-organize.
Yep.
And things tend to sort of things like the mind and the chi and the body magnetize.
Yep.
And your experience of the soul, you become sort of magnetized to
Yep.
who and what you are, and you just perceive truth. And
Well, and that's the
clarity.
point. That's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's perceiving who and what you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for instance, I can do meditation, and I can. So in Brazil, they've got these little treats here, and these are very easy to absorb into. Let me tell you, all right?
Yeah.
Because they're absolutely bloody delicious. And so they're just banana, dried banana. There's probably there's probably about 20 bananas in this block here, you know? That's what it feels like anyway. But anyway, so you have this, and I can absorb into this thing. Mm-hmm. Now, the trap is this, is that if I have to absorb into food to be happy, or I have to absorb into the chi to find peace, or I have to absorb into whatever it is, then that is the trap. Hey, brother, I've lost you just for a second. Okay, you're back now. All right.
Yeah. Little blip, but we're
just you are recording on your end too, right?
Yeah, I see.
Okay. But I mean, with your camera too?
Well, it's plugged into the recording, so we should have this all recording as one stream, one unit.
Nice. All right. Beautiful. Okay. Perfect, man.
Yeah.
So
I think
this
it's better
is
than what we.
So there's just an air of nervousness here, guys, because as Jordan said, we've tried this before, and it just glitched again. Ah, man. It could be the Brazilian internet. They could have had too many of those treats. Okay, now I'm back now. All right.
Yeah, all of a sudden we start focusing on the missteps and the mistakes and the internet starts. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And so one of the things I get people to focus on is the awareness itself, rather than absorbing into anything in particular. And so then I can be releasing my awareness and eating this fruit, or doing chi work, or playing guitar or whatever. But I know that the guitar is not the answer. It's my relationship with the guitar and my awareness and the contraction in my awareness and how that is distorting and blocking me from peace, basically. And so we can use anything. That's the cool thing about it.
Yeah, so the other idea that I had, I took a note, something that people often jump to, in my experience, at times when you talk about release or letting go, or you start to describe stepping in this direction. Even when it comes to things like letting go of, like you mentioned, politics and the sort of divisiveness, when it comes to social topics and the things that are pushed on us through the news and the media and all this stuff. People, they really cling to it. They really grab a hold of these things, and they want you to take a side and have
Yeah.
an opinion. And
Yep.
maybe at times, you need to explore what's happening in the world and be aware. But people tend to think that if you don't cling to something like that, or take a side, or really invest yourself in the story, that you're burying your head in the sand. And it becomes this other sort of dichotomy of positive thinking versus ignorance. Like, I'm just going to only see what I want and think about it the way that I want, or I'm not going to pay attention at all.
Yep.
Which, that's sort of like the fight or flight in terms of our view of things.
Yep.
And this is quite different, what we're talking about. When you let go, you surrender, you release. It's actually quite, in my experience, it's quite impossible to do that while ignoring things.
Oh,
Like,
you
people are like,
can't.
oh, you're just going to let go and really
No.
and just be all blissed out. And you're like, no,
No.
I have to take care of everything possible in my experience
Yep.
and make everything as good as I can. I can't be ignoring life. Like, I couldn't release and ignore my kids.
Well,
I'd
sometimes maybe like on a Friday afternoon, you're like,
yeah, exactly. But part of being able to do that is knowing all is well, right?
yeah, exactly.
Covering all your bases and whatnot, and that's the only way that you can do that. Is it maybe is mirrored in a lot of aspects of life. Like, you can only have the right kind of like relaxation or sort of off time if you've done all the things you need to do, or
Yeah.
you're only going to be nourished while fasting, like if you've been eating right while you're eating.
Yeah.
Lots of different ways to look at it, but you can't really surrender unless you let go of the positive thinking and the ignorance. You have to see clearly and penetrate what is happening and what's presented to you in life, and release around that, release through that. And it has to be all encompassing.
And on point. So what I mean by that is, if you're coming at this and you're already really stressed out, that's really difficult. It's super difficult to do that. And of course, that's how we all come into this. But the dissolve stuff gets to a point where you're doing it through the day. And so these challenges or potential challenges, they don't really arise. They do, but you're softening with them, you're softening through them, you're softening around, and you're able to find these solutions, because instead of it coming at you from behind and sneaking up on you, you're completely aware. It's actually the opposite of what people think. People think that you've got the blinkers on. But it's the opposite. You're really super aware, but you're choosing how much you want to take interest in things. Right? To what level? So you can still see the obstacles crossing the road, but you're not getting absorbed in the number plates or in the models of the cars or whatever. You can just see the dangers. And then when it's cleared across, you cross the road. Or you play the guitar, and instead of getting caught on the intricacies of the chords, you soften and you let the chords come. And you let the music come. It's kind of like that. Or our conversation now, right? Like, if we think about what we're saying too much, and we hold on to this idea of where the conversation's got to go, it's kind of a shit conversation. But if you just relax, it's cool.
It sort of actually reminds me, funny memory, when I was at the Dissolve intensive with you. I think when we were all done, I think it was like the last evening, and we went across a street. We're all blissed out and just feeling good. And a car came in front of us and splashed us with some nasty UK street water. And it's like any person at any moment could have been like, oh, oh, come on, that guy. And I just remember us both looking at each other because we were both the ones about to walk and got splashed. And we just kind of like, like just looked at each other like, that's lovely. Like refreshing. All right, let's go. Just the complete acceptance of it in that moment. And we just smiled and just crossed the road.
Yeah. And I mean, it still sucked. Like it wasn't, I don't want that to happen every day. But that's right.
Yeah.
It's you have that moment where the happening hits your awareness. And if your habit is to be just softening that contact with whatever it is, then when the bad stuff hits you, you're already softening. When the good stuff hits you, you're softening. And the cool thing about the good stuff hitting you and you're softening is it makes the good stuff even better. So
yeah, it has this amplifying effect for what's good in your life and your experience, and also like a neutralizing effect to that which is potentially upsetting.
well, and so why is that? Right? It's because good feelings are open in their nature. There's an openness. And when we feel like shit, it's a closing. Right? And so, of course, like as things are coming into our awareness and we're softening, that's opening. That's the precursor to opening. You have to soften to open, right? And so as things are coming into our eyes and our ears and thoughts and the tactile and all that, we're softening and becoming more open and comfortable. And that's just our go-to state.
Yeah. No, one of the most beautiful things that I've found and what's created a lot of stability and certainty, and I don't know if the word like conviction is right, but just a conviction in my path, like that word knowing that always comes, that there is this knowing when you're just full of life, when you've released and surrendered, and you're, to whatever degree, more and more so, you are absorbed in this process. There is this stability in this quality of knowing that occurs, and this insight where like we got a little bit into like tradition and religion when we were talking last time. Which is, maybe we don't have to dive too far into it, but it's something I wish I could express to a lot of people. Or like I ever felt the inclination to try to like win someone over or whatever, it would be to be able to express or to lend that knowing quality to them, where there might be like in someone who's religious, there's this fear of, oh, I have to cling to the idea that was given to me of this is the right way to God or whatever. Anything else, like even this idea of openness, they could have this fear attached to opening up. To where, oh, if I open up and I let go and I surrender, it has to only, like, I got to do it in church in the way my pastor said or whatever it is, because otherwise the devil's around the corner or whatever. Which is the silliest thing, because really it's like if the whatever detail the devil is residing in is really that fear and the contraction.
Dude, but do you know what else?
Life.
Do you know what else? This is the interesting thing about that concept, right? So when you're holding onto a concept, even like, let's say you're holding onto the concept of dissolve, or meditation, or something that you personally think that's really great. The harder you hold on to it, the more it gets distorted. So if you think of like a deranged lover, they turn into a stalker, right? Okay. And so, but let's just say you're holding on to this idea. It could be anything. It could be the Buddha or God or something like that, or it doesn't matter what it is. If you hold on to anything, that holding, believe it or not, causes a blind point in your view. And so before we spoke about crossing the road, and so if you're releasing, it's not as though you're releasing into oblivion. It is, you are releasing all of the holdings in your awareness, and so you actually become like really aware.
Yeah.
And so this idea that the devil might slip in or anything like this is kind of the opposite, in fact, because if the devil was going to slip in, it's going to be while you're busy holding on to this thing, and he's going to come up behind you because you didn't see him.
Exactly. Yeah.
But because you're not exactly. And so if you're just open and released and wide, you can see the devil's coming. You can see your, because I mean the devil, right? That's you.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And it's your bullshit. That's the devil. And so you can see your bullshit a mile away.
Yeah.
And you've got a choice then. It's like, well, do I want to go down that road with the devil today or not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's beautiful. I definitely, I had a taste of it, but definitely like after meeting you and getting a lot deeper into this stuff, like instead of it becoming a sort of fleeting experience, I've definitely grown to, it's become naturalized, I guess, but this idea that the mind can be just clear and open.
Dude, do you know, dude, it's you. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we are, which is kind of that's why I brought this up. It's just that whole idea of thinking that there is anything else when you release. Like there is this idea of wrong release. Like I could kind of release like into oblivion. Like I can empty out and just kind of be nihilistic or whatever and like not care. But that's not, it's not what we're talking about.
No, because like I do care. Like if you look at, if I break open this bread, I made this bread this morning, right? I don't know if you can see that. Hang on. I'll hold a bigger piece here, right? So this idea of I'll just get out of the way. Come on, you got to focus on this camera. There it is.
Yeah.
Now, can you see what's in there? There's like 4 different grains. There's seeds, there's oil, like olive oils, there's so much goodness in here, right? And so it's not that I don't care about anything. It's kind of the opposite. You still care, but because you're not holding on to bullshit, you're able to express it.
Yeah.
And it's that knowing quality that you just spoke about. It's always there, right? It's always there. And it's this feeling of stability. So then even as you're making the bread, you're making it with that knowing and that stability. And you put the good ingredients in it because you know it's good for you. But you don't get caught on the ingredients and think that the ingredients are going to make me at peace. It's this. So the knowing is knowing how to find peace at any time. At any time.
Right. Yeah, and it's just I find it quite beautiful. That it is what we are.
Yeah.
That it's such a direct experience.
Yep.
And that there's no need to beat around the bush with a whole lot of ideas. I think the whole thing I was trying to express is that I don't even know. Maybe the words will come to me. But the whole thing that came to me there is it's helped me a lot with this being obsessed with the path because I fear like not doing something correctly.
Oh yeah.
Versus just
I'm there. You are the path.
Yeah, exactly. Like thinking that I need something else, I need to do this thing or have this thing or have the whatever it is, but it is who you are. Yeah. And when you let go that whatever you're clinging to, you're exposed to yourself.
Dude, like we were talking about this last time. So I come from I spent the last almost 20 years training really, really intensively with my old teacher, Adam Meisner, who certainly in my experience is, I don't know, probably certainly one of the best Tai Chi guys in the world, if not the. He's really, really good.
Yeah.
And so I trained with him and lived with him and did all that for 20 years. And I dedicated myself to training Tai Chi. And people say, well, Andy, you can't disregard the Tai Chi because that was part of your path, and this is true. But as I was training the Tai Chi, this knowing that we were talking about and the dissolve and all that stuff was always underlying it. There was always that. And then I did the Tai Chi on top of that.
Yeah.
But that being said, I still got caught in the training. I still did. And I trained for excessively. Now that I look at it, I trained for hours and hours and hours every single day for 17 years. And would I do that now? No way. Mm-hmm. But I did get caught. I got caught on this whole... we come into the training, we come into the practice because we can't stop. We can't stop our minds. We can't stop doing things compulsively. And so then we start doing this sort of training, and there's a schedule that's presented to you. And you have to do all these things, which is great to train the mind. Not taking anything away from it. But there was a point where I realized personally that the lights went off. Okay, hang on a second, man. I'm just going to try and sort that out. Hang on one moment, dude.
Oh, good. No worries.
Yes, we're good.
We're good.
All right.
Good.
Yeah, man. So... yeah, and I just realized after like 17 years that I was just cultivating more of that list ticking.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so I've stopped training that way, and my training these days is far more relaxed, and to be honest, I'm getting more out of it. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I found that a lot in my training as well, but a lot of aspects of life, like diet and health, I coming into trying to work out things with my own health and seeing how people went about that. It's the same in a lot of different areas of health and spirituality out there, but it's either you have this method and all these things you have to do, or like you got to do this detox and there's all these things and you got to do this, and and there are certainly benefits to many of these things.
Huge benefits.
How much can you benefit if you're like, I need to get the outcome, like I need to do these things, and you're clinging so hard to the desired outcome or to needing these things, and and it's like, it reminds me a lot of people, they get into veganism and stuff and they become like orthorexic. It's like, oh, I can't eat this, I can't eat this, I can't eat this. And it's like, if you begin to surrender and become clear and stabilize yourself, then you can become discerning and be like, oh, I'm going to do what's good for me. But it's from this place of openness and freedom and knowing that, oh, it's good and I'm going to do it, but there's no there's no battle. There's no like that clinging, that contraction, and that fear around all of it. You're simply making the right choices.
You're making the right choices.
Fruitful. It feels so much better and more nourishing.
Look, I tell you, this is one of the big insights that I had into this stuff. So for instance, if I play guitar, I just play guitar because I enjoy it. And it's good for my heart. It's good. It loosens me up and it makes me hear the music in life more. Okay. Or I might go for a surf because I enjoy it. It keeps me fit. And it certainly connects me to the world in a really nice way. Of course, we have to work. We have to do all these things. We're in relationships and all this stuff. And so we have to do all this stuff, right? But if you're training, so let's say, for instance, my training is about release, right? So I'm releasing to do something. And now this is my old training, right? I'd have to release in order to get the chi to move down my arm, for instance.
Yeah.
Right. And so now it's released to do something.
Yeah.
And so there's this really fine line between releasing for the sake of release and releasing to do something, to get an effect, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And so it's like there's an expectation from that release. There's a contract. There's like some sort of a, I'll do this if you do that with the release.
Yeah, definitely.
And so these days, what I'm really focused on is, and I mean, I always have been more or less, but now it's just at the center stage. It is releasing and just enjoying that.
Mm-hmm.
And so now when I do my Tai Chi and all this stuff, it's not released to control. It's not released to move Chi or anything like that. Although Chi does build and all these things do happen, I'm not doing it to attain those things. And so it's these subtle differences. I'm doing it to release my awareness, to feel at peace.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and this is where the yogas come into it, man. Because then it's like, well, the yoga, it's just so. It's almost like it's not mundane, but it is. It's just so normalized. Yoga is. And you don't, when you do yoga, you don't sort of expect anything apart from some flexibility. And I'm talking about normal yoga, right? You go down to the gym and do some yoga, and it's just like, it makes me feel good, That's how most people view yoga. And so you do this dissolve practice within those yoga shapes, and then suddenly it becomes this essential practice, this yoga that is, I suppose, where yoga's coming from. And we're not expecting anything from it. We just take the shapes, we release within those shapes, we get out of the way, we let the mind be calm, we let the intellect disappear. And then, as you said before, you just let Mother Nature just do her thing. And all the blockages tend to disappear, and the holding disappears, and you fill up with the good stuff.
Yeah. Been noticing that a lot in my own practice, and the yoga is very useful for that. It's become more effortless in the sense that when I release, like all the things I used to release to do, like you said, like I'm doing this thing to do this, I'm doing this thing to do this. I simply release, and my body organizes, and things fill up. And then I can just become curious, getting a lot of satisfaction out of let's just slide that arm bone down. Oh, that's beautiful. And then, your whole world becomes released. And all I'm doing is just sliding the bones down. And I used to have to try to release this thing and do this thing and maybe do these certain practices to accomplish that. But now I'm just releasing.
Because it's just yoga, right?
Yeah, it's just dropping my arms or just standing up or whatever it is, and it's so simple and it's so beautiful.
Because it's just yoga. You know, it's nothing special. Of course it is. It's hugely special.
Yeah.
But it's when you try to do something mystical like Tai Chi or something like this, there's that air of expectation that blocks. Certainly, I felt it. I used to feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all those things that you're trying to achieve, and then you get out of the way, and it just happens.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Definitely. And that kind of, we could probably go on a whole tangent about, like that's what yoga really is, like to unify, to yoke, to
Yes.
recognize that
Yes.
union.
Yes.
Makes me, a few things we've talked about remind me of what you said, the quote of Meister Eckhart, no side glances. Beautiful. No side glances. And it really, it just reminds me of like when I've seen the things within like the Christian tradition or within any tradition, but some of these saints and some of these like the Desert Fathers or these old mystics, like they say it in such beautiful sort of poetic ways, but they do talk about it being impossible to be apart from God.
Yeah.
And I've heard people translate or just say that the more accurate translation of sin, even people talk about sin and it being like, oh, I'm bad, I'm a bad person, like that's impossible or whatever, like it's original sin and that we're originally sinful, but really it's sort of flipped.
Original holding.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's literally where we miss the mark. Like when we talk about right view and right release, it's like you're literally just looking in the wrong direction. You're not looking at who you are.
Yeah.
And when we clarify our view and we see things clearly, that's all the saints were doing, is that when they surrendered, it's like, oh, I can't be apart from God. Oh, my sin was that I didn't recognize that.
Yeah.
Like, let's let that go. And then figures like Christ or Buddha, whoever, they just completely absorbed into who they were.
Yeah.
And they walked the world like that.
Dude, like these days, man, I try not to even mention those guys too much these days.
Yeah, because it brings up all the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure I don't like getting into it because there's a holding in me that has my views. But then when you mention it to other people, there's so much holding in other people. And so it just...
It's true.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. I think, but who knows? Yeah, you know, oh man.
To be.
Oh, dude. I mean, if you look at the media in the last few years, the last 10 years, 20 years, forever, right? How everything's twisted from a day ago. And then we've got these figures who lived 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago.
Yeah.
And we, man.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah,
but
totally.
But so then this is the cool thing, right? This is the cool thing. So remember last time we were talking about talking to a Christian or someone who is religious in a different religion. And of course they might think, oh, well, this sort of sounds a little bit occulty to me, this stuff that Jordan and Andy is talking about. Mm-hmm. And so what I would suggest someone like that do is take a picture of Christ or a word of Christ or anyone, or Muhammad or anyone, it doesn't matter. And as you look at that object, soften as you look at it. And notice what happens in your awareness as you soften, as you look at that object, either his eyes or the word or whatever it is. And if you're perceptive, you'll feel an openness toward that object and a connection a deeper connection to the thing that you're perceiving. And so you're actually getting closer within your religion, you're getting closer to what you want. Which of course will come later, but you don't want to freak people out too much by saying too much too quickly. But
it's a whole can of worms, and I only dip my toes into the can of worms because I don't know, maybe a part of me likes to stir the shit pot a little bit at times. But
yeah,
it's
me
like,
too.
It's how within yourself and in others, it's like how can you continue this process of release and becoming stabilized and at ease around these topics and speaking to different types of people or being challenged with certain ideas and certain states of beings and the stuff that's brought up by other people or the stuff you can bring up yourself. You kind of have to look in that direction and release, or sit with those people and release.
Yeah, man.
Makes, I don't know, it's there's a whole, like you said, there's a whole contraction and holding around, even saying like, oh, Jesus or Krishna. It's like, oh, well, someone who really likes Jesus ain't gonna like you mentioning that you could do the same thing with Krishna or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because there's so much contraction around all these ideas that they have, but really what we're always coming back to is that the whole path and the whole point of everything is that this is you. Yeah. This is all of us. This is who we are. Yep. And all ideas aside, when you look at things truthfully.
Yep. And what's the truth?
Whether or not people can think they can trust their own experience or whatever, people have their own holding around that, which is funny.
Yeah.
But the deeper you go, the more clearly you will see what we're talking about, and that there's no end to it. It just goes, and you're going in the right direction. So, you know, it's not like at a certain point, it's like there are no mistakes to be made, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is, because you start looking, that's exactly right, man. You start looking at things differently. You start looking at yourself differently, and you start to realize that the thing that makes it shit, the experience in that moment, is this contraction. Mm-hmm. And so then if you drop all the ideas of God or Buddha or anything like that and just look at that in that moment, and it's very interesting what you find. It's beautiful.
And you have to investigate. You have to be willing to just investigate.
Yeah.
Just to keep.
And then, of course, you investigate, and then once you get into this, so if I do it right now, if I just allow myself to see that spaciousness within and without, and then I'm enabling or allowing myself to enjoy the process of being comfortable, and I'm not looking for the next thing. Yeah. And so my awareness does this to a degree. It opens up in that moment. And then there's this spaciousness. And I can still talk to you. I'm talking to you right now, but in my awareness, it's spacious now rather than trying to control the conversation or whatever.
Yeah.
It's very cool, man. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's interesting that maybe a lot of the contraction around all of these things is that people aren't recognizing it in their experience right here or right now.
Yeah.
So it's like
for
sure. People are afraid of being like, I don't know, incorrect or led astray or any of these things. It's like how, again, there's this knowing quality that arises, and there's this, oh gosh, it's like, here's heaven right now within me right now. So how could I be off or wrong or incorrect?
You know where it comes from?
Yeah.
You know where it comes from?
Where?
The Easter Bunny.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. We were 5 years old, and it's like, yeah, the Easter Bunny's real. Or 6 years old,
Yeah.
the Easter Bunny's real, and then one of your older friends says, "What are you talking about, you idiot? There's no such thing as the Easter Bunny," and it crushes you, and you think, "I'm never going to believe anyone again,"
Yeah, right.
including
There's
myself.
some, yeah, there's some magical reality apart from myself that I invested in so heavily, and then that collapsed, and oh gosh, this is
That's it.
never gonna experience anything cool or magical ever again.
I'm going to be a skeptic for
Yeah,
everything, including all of my experience for the rest of my life.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're either the religious skeptic or the scientific skeptic or whatever
Man.
it is, but you're skeptical enough to not just investigate and open up and surrender yourself and see what's what.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, and it's so interesting that, like, even as I'm talking, like you said, you can sit here and talk to someone,
Yep.
and I'm just deeply absorbing into the fact that as I'm releasing, I'm just noticing everything in my body, everything in my being, just oh,
Yep.
and then if there's this little bit of uh, uh, I just continue to let it open, and it's so simple, so beautiful.
Yep. But you're not looking for perfection or anything, right?
No, you can't. Well,
No.
yeah, it's,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
yeah, yeah, it's interesting, and like all of these things that are sought for in other, like, people go to religion for it, or they're going to these systems, whatever it is, these other ways of going about things, which may or may not have their use. A lot of those things just unfold.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the things that I looked for so hard in so many different places, I'm just witnessing them happen,
Yep.
and I'm not trying to do them or seek them. I'm just like, oh, that's nice,
Yeah.
because I'm releasing.
Exactly.
It's great.
Yeah. Well,
And then you just sit there and enjoy it.
dude, if you think about most, certainly physical problems, if you think about ailments or anything like that, and if you go to a doctor is going to give you some sort of a prescription to alleviate the swelling. And of course, the swelling is a lack of spaciousness, right? And makes you uncomfortable. And so he gives you some pills for that. Or it could be a mental problem, an emotional problem, and you can't stop thinking. So he gives you some Valium or some Prozac, which again gives you spaciousness. Like pretty much everything that we come up against in life is that's challenging for us. It's just because we're not comfortable. Because of this tightness, this internal tightness.
Yep.
And so, we were talking last time about the crazy training that we used to do, and this idea that you have to have this structured training day, and you need to adhere to it at all costs, and I think that is kind of true to a degree. Like, you do need to set aside some time to have a meditation and just to bring your awareness back in. Certainly in the beginning, definitely in the beginning.
Yeah.
And to do some physical training to bring the body, to bring the mind into the body, to anchor the mind there. But then it's just this. Like, I'm talking to you now. I'm eating these little bits of chocolate here.
Yeah.
Everything, every interaction that I have, I'm softening toward the chocolate. Makes it taste even better.
Pears for me. Love pears.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, that is
I haven't had a good pear for a long time.
oh, so good.
Yeah?
It's yeah, right now it's lilac and pear. Smelling the lilac just triggers so much release for me. I don't know. That's one of those things that I can get a kick out of. Like you say, like you eat the chocolate and you absorb and just release, and you don't need it,
Yeah.
but it's just appreciating the beauty of the reality that we're a part of. It's like, oh my God, the irises are blooming. Oh, cool. Oh, what is that other flower I have planted that I can't remember the name of and I don't even know, but it smells like oolong tea and osmanthus or something.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, dude.
Just does something cool to your mind and triggers release. Maybe it's just for me. I don't know about other
No.
people. Maybe if it was bad smell, it wouldn't, right? But
No, well, it would actually cause, if you look at how your senses experience the world. So most of us are trapped in our thoughts. We're holding on to the thought sense. And so then this training that we were just talking about, like the daily training that you probably should do. Say the yoga training, right? What I use that for is I use that to drop my awareness down. So you've got all these levels in your awareness, in your being, I should say. You've got the awareness, which sits the highest. This is my experience of it anyway.
yeah.
And then you've got the thought or the mental realm, the frequencies. They're frequencies. And this is where the thoughts tend to live. Then you go down a little bit lower and you've got the emotional frequencies, and then you go down lower and there's the body chi or the body prana. And for most of us, we come into this stuff, and it's really hard for people to see or distinguish between the awareness and the thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I say to you, and you just started this, Jordan, okay, I want you to feel your hip, Jordan. 9 times out of 10, that person will just imagine their hip.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't have the ability to stop thinking. Right? And so then when we start getting into the body, what we find is there's natural openness with the awareness. And so we breathe into the body, and we let the awareness, I should say, just sit in the body. And there's an openness that comes with that. Very interesting that the same openness is experienced when you take a bite of something. If you're not thinking. If you're thinking, it blocks it. But if you just drop the thoughts and pop that into your mouth, boom, that happens. Just momentarily. Or if I take a sniff now, I've got a cherry here. If I take a sniff of this cherry, boom, that happens. This open.
Yeah. Because the awareness is shifting away from the thought frequency into the sense gates, and there's a spaciousness.
Well, well, and I think it is, because there's a spaciousness in the thoughts too, because that's just another sense realm, right?
We just don't train ourselves to see it, but the senses, the closer they are to the body, the more there's more of a tangible.
I'm not even sure that it's because we don't train ourselves to see it. It's like we're so tired because we're holding on to the same bloody thing the whole time. We're just like this with the thoughts. And it's just this like a tired muscle. It's just exhausted and it can't function properly. And then so when we drop that and we come into another faculty, the awareness is like boom, and it opens up, and I think that's its natural way of being. Whether it's smell, whether it's tactile, whether it's taste, it's very cool, man.
Yeah, it's very. I've had a lot of interest and like time absorbing into and just being fascinated by, in contrast to when I tried to meditate like over a decade ago, and I was like, I would like to meditate, and then you're focusing on your mind and your mind is going and you're like, how do people do this is crazy, that's impossible. And then like you said, when you use, like, this is what the tool of the yoga or the physical training We were talking about active versus passive training. Like I can
Yeah.
train just being here with you, and I'm just listening and releasing and just being present.
Yep.
Or I can go on my yoga mat, or I can go outside. I can do some qigong, some tai chi, some yoga, whatever it is that gets you in the body, even more physical exercise. But it's getting the awareness
Yep.
more stabilized into the felt sense.
Yep.
And it's bridging that gap that allows the mind to have this sense of stability
Yep.
and recognize that spaciousness, like you said, which is the key in all of it. If we can enjoy and recognize the sense of spaciousness that we get as the mind goes, oh, I'm not holding a thought now.
Yep.
We're obviously not thinking that, but the mind's not holding a thought. The mind is absorbing into what we're doing with the body. So I'm, like I said before, I'm releasing the bones in my arms,
Yep.
and the mind's not going yada da 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 da
Yeah.
da. It's releasing the bones in my arms. That's all it's focusing into. And because I'm finding spaciousness in that release, the mind is spacious in that moment,
Yep.
and I'm simply absorbing into the process of release, recognizing spaciousness.
But there's the trap too, right?
Yeah.
Right? So then the trap,
Needing that.
dude, then, yeah, so the trap is like, I drop down into the dantian, into the waist, into the qua. These are all tai chi or Taoist sort of terms.
Yeah.
Anyway, I drop my mind down into the waist, right? And I'm absorbing in the chi, and I'm releasing, and the sense of awareness blossoms, it blooms, it spills out like a vast ocean. And that's what they call it, the ocean of chi, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they're talking about, because when you absorb in something, the mind goes like that.
Yeah.
And so this is the addiction, yeah. And so when you're down there, instead of just getting lost in it, which is cool for a little while, but what I do myself is I use, sometimes I wake up and I might be a bit foggy. I might have had a weird dream or something, and I wake up and I can do some yoga, and it will bring my awareness down initially. And it gives me, I find that peace in the body. There's no thoughts now. And it gives me a very clear perspective of the pushing and the pulling in my awareness. And this is the key. This is the thing, the pushing and the pulling, that sucks. This is that contraction. And so then once I'm down here, I look up there, I get this really clear view. When I'm here like this in my thoughts, if it's a weird day, it's hard to see. But then I drop down here, I get this nice clear perspective. I can release the pushing and the pulling. Boom.
And when you're caught up in the thoughts, you're too close to the problem, too close to the source.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that that gap and that space and that stepping, all sorts of paradox when you start to talk about these things, but the going inward and deeper allows you to step back as you get closer to penetrate. It's that sort of all directions, interesting sort of place. But part of what my thought was that led me there is that people have this interesting notion, like that meditation or mindfulness and all these things, they have this idea like you can't let go of, like, oh, you don't try to stop thinking. And of course you can't try to stop thinking, especially when you're caught up in the thoughts. But like you said, if you're dropping down into the waist, and if your mind stabilizes into the body and the awareness kind of clarifies, then there's this spaciousness that occurs. And we've mentioned, you can see a thought coming from a mile away. It was so clear to me when I was at the Dissolve intensive. It's like after very intensive training, or after just a really good training session, or just going very deep and watching the awareness and allowing that spaciousness and that peace to radiate. You're so full in that process of release that it's like any little bit of thought is like, it's way off there in the distance. Like,
Yeah.
I could,
And
but
you
no.
have a choice.
Yeah, exactly. Because if
And
you're aware of it,
yeah,
you're not caught up in them like, oh, I'm jumbled up in the thoughts. It's like,
dude.
oh yeah, I
I
could jump on that thought train,
yeah.
but like this is too
Like,
good.
like
Right.
the analogy I use, man, is coming from a surfing background is when you see someone who comes in from the countryside, from inland, and they go to the beach, and they don't know the beach, they don't know the surf,
Yeah.
and they get
That probably be me.
well, and they get absolutely annihilated. They get smashed, right? Because they're looking the wrong way.
I'm a forest guy myself. I
Yeah.
would probably get smashed.
Well, but it's the same if you went on the ski slopes. Then, if you're a mountain guy, you learn to look in a certain way. So you're always keeping one eye looking in the right direction.
Yeah.
And then you can pick and choose which waves you want to catch. Doesn't mean you don't have any thoughts or you don't want any thoughts or thoughts are bad, but
Yeah.
you can just be more discriminating. And it's such a cool thing. It really is.
Yeah. 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 There's this cool thing that occurs where you have like the focal point of your attention,
Yeah.
and you have your sort of passive attention, or so I think some people I've heard them say like a first attention and second attention are the layers of your attention. You're focusing where you're going, like if you're surfing, you're snowboarding, or I don't know, again, people say that you can't stop your thoughts, but someone who's like going downhill mountain biking or something like that,
They're
full
not
throttle,
they're not
like
thinking.
you're not exactly. If you're thinking, you're gonna die. Like you're gonna
Yeah.
mess yourself up. Like a race car driver, it's a bit different, but there is this
No.
absorption of
That's dude, that's why it's so addictive and that's why so many people love it.
yeah,
The
definitely.
extreme sports.
So absorbed, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just without this recognition of the absorption into the release and the awareness itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's there is
Dude,
this
and so this is the thing. This is yeah, man, this is it. This is the thing, right? Like all of those scenarios, they all point to something that is so familiar, that feels like home. And it could be skiing downhill or riding a motorcycle, or it could be sitting on the beach looking at the sun or whatever. Looking at the sunset, or in the forest with some big old trees.
Yeah.
And there's this open stillness, this peace, this calm that's there. Because you're not thinking about anything, that's why. Yeah, potentially. I mean, you could be sitting at the beach thinking about shit, of course, but
Right. So here's something that I don't know. So we've both been in some ways part of the whole martial arts scene,
yep.
and I've definitely over the years I've sort of been part of many streams. Like I've done different systems of martial arts, and not an expert. It's just like something I've always tried to do for my body and try to explore. Like I want to know how to move my body and, have a certain sense of being able to defend myself or my family, like should whatever happen. It's like just having skill, just being skillful. My body really is where it comes from for me, and feeling good and balanced, and having ways to be stable. Like we said, stabilize awareness in the body. I want to be able to do that while I'm striking a heavy bag. I want to be able to do that while I'm doing yoga. I want to be able to, if I was a surfer, be surfing or run through the woods. Probably for me,
We have to go surfing one day, brother. You'll love it.
I would love to try. I've never had the opportunity to try. I think I could probably get there, but it would be a process. But so there's this whole idea of some people get into the whole perspective of trauma and healing trauma, which is this whole other thing. But more of what I was thinking is that people get into sort of resiliency training or like stress testing themselves and being sort of, one way I would put it is to be strong enough to release or to have enough capability and skillfulness in your being to be able to be at peace, sort of, and be able to release and just be okay.
Yep.
But some people might say that you need to like consistently stress test yourself.
Yeah.
That you need either the martial arts or you need whatever it is for you
Yep.
that stress tests your ability to release. And so we're very focused on the release, and it's good
You, you know,
to absorb into beautiful things and to just be blissed out and released. But like how much importance do you place, or how much do you think it's different for different people,
you know
that
what?
they might want to throw themselves into the fire
Yeah.
and release under pressure, depending on how they want to do it. There's different ways to do it. Like
Yeah.
I've dabbled with, you do knuckle push-ups on concrete, and like, can I release
Yeah.
while I've got my knuckles on some gravel, or
There you
whatever it
go.
is, or
And there you have it.
whatever
That's the answer.
yeah, is to,
That's the answer.
can I find release and spaciousness in this very difficult position, whether it's a
Yeah.
yoga posture,
Yep.
standing practice, you're getting punched at, you're in a boxing ring,
Look, man, I tell you what. I think the biggest range of life that you can apply this stuff to, the full spectrum of life, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that you can only apply this stuff or pressure test this in a martial arts scenario or a push hand scenario, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then in a conversation, the person's an asshole because they can't let go of an idea. But
I don't want to point out any certain people, but this is something I've observed and that I'm getting at. It's like some of these people who think you have to be like, every day has to be a battle and you won't be at ease until you've stressed yourself up. I see them wiring themselves. Like they talk about being at ease or being calm or whatever, yet they can't talk to someone without calling them names.
Yeah. And you can
but
feel that in yourself, right?
Yeah.
I can feel it in myself, like wanting to go down that, or not wanting to go down that road, but potentially going down that road at any moment.
Yeah.
Right?
There's the option.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. So, I mean, I think, like one of the things that I'll do, for instance, because I'm one of these guys that I have to do stuff. I've always been that guy. Always. When I was a kid, I'd have to wake up at 4:30 and go for a surf. When I did the bands and business and all that, it was just doing 18-hour days, or it was doing just more, always more.
Right.
And so for me, these days, my training is when I wake up in the morning, instead of getting up and having a meditation straight away, because I've always done that, it will be waking up, softening that compulsion. I can see that pulling in my awareness, and just looking at my wife for half an hour or an hour and just softening in regards to that scenario. Right?
Because that's the balancing act.
It's the balancing act for me, right? And then I'll get up and have a meditation later. But it's it's the compulsion. So whatever it is that you're sort of getting drawn magnetically to do, softening that and finding some space within it. And I kind of look at it like this, man. I think, you know how with fitness, you can go for a run every day and you get fit for running.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have a wrestle. And you're absolutely trashed within 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Or you jump on a bicycle and you die within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so
the
and so the fitness is just very specific. And so you have to do a little bit of everything. You have to do a little bit of strength training, you have to do a little bit of flexibility training, you have to do a whole combination, a whole spectrum. And I'm pretty sure that release is just like that. And so just applying it to everything in your life as often as you can and you get a direct feedback. The direct feedback, you don't have to plan the training or anything. You just, there it is, boom.
Yeah.
I mean, you got 5 kids, man. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Exactly. Like a lot of the time these days, that is my training. Or 4 kids, but it's enough to push your buttons, you know, like all the potential options for buttons being pushed are there. So just come in and out of it. And I'm always trying to continually like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just on the edge of that contraction, taking hold of something and just, and okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, coming back to release.
Yeah.
So I used to be like more like you. I think I tried to balance myself out from probably having more of the proclivity to just sit around
Yeah.
because I had some sense of like, oh, if I'm just being at ease and at peace, I go somewhere very beautiful in my mind. But I can't live life like that. I needed a way to merge that with life, right?
Yeah.
So that became, okay, martial arts, kung fu, this thing, that thing, exercise, whatever. I'm gonna sprint barefoot through the forest on a trail like as fast as I could or whatever. And it's like doing those activities to have something to bring that together for me was really important. But then I started, like you mentioned earlier, like taking 10-hour days or whatever and being like, I got to train this thing and having that list to check off or whatever. Now it's just life.
Yeah.
Like life is enough, and I know how to train enough that if I get that hour or I get that half hour to, like earlier, I was just like 3 to 5 yoga postures.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's nice. And
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
a bit of weightlifting yesterday.
Yep.
Oh, wow, that's really nice. I'm trying to find release and spaciousness in all of that.
Yep.
That's the active training for me, and then the
Yeah, yeah.
passive training is just going throughout life and continually coming back to it.
That's it, man. And then just taking a step back every now and then, even every day, and just seeing where you're at, and seeing if you're feeling a bit better than you did maybe a week ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it for me too, man. I do the same thing. Like I run on the beach, not in the forest, but I've got into beach sprinting.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And skipping. Have you done the skipping? Oh my God, skipping's amazing.
Not in a while. I'll steal one of my kids' skipping ropes, though, I guess. But I've
not jump rope, but
just
like
skipping.
la di da di da.
You know what? Like lately, I've been wanting to get more into like going out in the field and sprinting, like taking my older kids and like take them out. Like usually go on strolls through the woods because my kids have been younger, so you can't like sprint full out with like a toddler or whatever. They just get angry because you're like so far ahead of them so fast. But taking them out, and I'll get like these foam airplanes that they have and just like whip them around the park, and then they're running after them and we're running after the planes, just running back and forth. But I want to get the kids into more of like, all right, we're going to go sprint and we're going to go like run across the field. But like skipping to the field, I have memories of that as a kid, just like kind of bounding.
Yeah, exactly.
Bounding, like just like you're flying.
Yep.
I would run through trails like that to where it's like your foot is only touching the ground every so often and you're kind of just like gliding through the air. That's a cool feeling. Just try not to run into a tree. The beaches are a bit rocky around here though to run on, so I gotta go for a field of the woods.
You gotta come down and visit one day, man.
For sure. Yeah, man.
Cool. Brother.
All right. Yeah, man. This is good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I don't got any more like questions or anything. Maybe we'll call it time here, unless we have anything else we want to chat about.
No, I think
do some call to actions or anything. Invite people to explore and.
Oh well, definitely. I mean, if you're interested in dissolve, you should definitely. If you're living in the Northern Americas, you should definitely go and see that guy sitting right there, because he will definitely help you And I can't even express. I mean, I'm sure you've got a little bit of what I'm talking about over the last hour listening to us, but he can definitely help you and point you in the right direction. So yeah, that's that's my call to action there, brother.
Right on. And yeah, I
Yeah.
guess you're going to be busy for a little while, but we got the Dissolve yoga course is online.
Yes.
So if this is up on the YouTube and stuff, we'll have links below. We'll have a link to me and a link to the yoga course.
Yep. And the
And
therapy as well, of course.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have all the official courses on the
Yeah.
Dissolve Peace Release website.
Yeah.
Dissolve Release Peace. I get it mixed up. Dissolve Release. But yeah, it is beautiful stuff. And no matter who you are and where you are, we wish you the best. And
Yes.
if you want to explore, we invite you to look at some of the videos,
Yeah.
check out the courses,
Yes.
get in touch with a practitioner wherever you are, if there's one by you or online or in person. The bodywork is just swell.
Yes.
Always
Absolutely.
always recommended, like doing some training online is cool,
Yep.
but you can get in touch with someone doing the body work. It is such a direct way to experience it and to
Yep.
go as deep as you can, as
Yep.
quick as you can. It's good stuff. I always love doing that.
I mean, that was it, man. That's where it came from, man. It was like, how do I get somebody to experience this in 30 minutes, in 40 minutes,
Yeah.
in 50 minutes? Boom.
Mhm.
And that's the thing. You go in for a treatment and you experience it. There's no doubt in your mind as to what it is.
Yeah, I have trouble saying it in ways that don't seem like cliche or cheesy or something, but it's like things that take people years. Like some people try to get to this place in their being. Like I tried to get to this place in my being for many years
Yep.
and tried a lot of different things and got closer and closer and closer to it. And then when I experienced this stuff, it's just like, oh, that's it.
Dude,
That's what I was going for.
you flew from Canada to London.
Yeah, because I knew I had to.
Yeah.
That was just how strong the pull was. Because I
Yeah.
could feel what you were radiating, and I was like, I know that's what I want. Like I've had a taste. Like whatever I did at that point, I was like, I've had a taste, and this is what I need in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I was there. I just remember you looking across the room at me and like, yep, you got it.
It was in the eyes, man. It was in the eyes. It was.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, this is so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
So good. And that's all I've said to people since then is just like, try this stuff out. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Jordan, it is beautiful. You are beautiful, man. And
You too, man. Pleasure. Yeah, man. All right.
alrighty, brother. We did it, brother. We did it. I love you, dude.
Okay. Yeah, man. Love you. Love all you people out there watching.
Yes.
Hope you enjoyed. Hope you got something out of this. Explore
Yeah.
the links. Get in touch if you want to. Yeah. All right. Be well, everyone.
Beautiful. See you guys.
All right. Yeah. Cheers.
See you, Jordan. Bye, everyone.
All right. Have a good one, man.